Okay, I'm here with Tomas Haake from Meshuggah, the legendary Meshuggah. So we're in Poland. Don't know if you've noticed.
I do know that I'm in Poland. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. But we've noticed there's a very special crowd here. It's very dedicated. There's a lot of energy going on. The fans are wild. They're quite, they're so into what they do.
Yeah.
From an outsider's perspective, what would you say it was about Poland in particular that kind of breeds that kind of environment where people are so into extreme music?
Well, I could probably try to elaborate on like what Poland's been through in the industrial, like the whole.
So you're saying communism is the result?
I don't know, really. I'm saying I could try to elaborate, but to be honest, I don't really know enough about it to be able to go to really go there. But we've noticed we've only played. This is only the second time we played Poland, ever. So. But we noticed last time too that they do have there seems to be a really like metal dedicated crowd, and we always the two times that we've been in Poland, it's just been like really amazing, the crowds, and why it is like that, I don't know. They're just crazy.
Do you think it's because of Vader? The Vader, is the soul of Vader so strong that it kind of inhabits people's bodies?
Actually, one of my one of the bands that I really dig, unfortunately, they had a tragic accident a couple years back, was decapitated, and the drummer Vitek from that band was a tremendous drummer and a real inspiration, and so there's, I mean, Behemoth and Vader. There's a lot of bands coming out of Poland, it seems, and I bet the scene is probably really healthy. I'm sure that's part of the reason why the crowds are really into it too. That you have a really strong metal community in Poland, and it's got to be because there's a lot of bands here too. So that's a really cool thing, and I can really see a lot more bands like growing up and becoming bigger from Poland too. Because I think it seems you got the right environment,
Now, you're forced to cancel a string of shows recently in Scandinavia because of your ongoing back injury. And I was just wondering, what stage of recovery are you at with that? Obviously, you're playing, so that's a good thing. But from what I understand, from what I've read anyway, is that it's something that reoccurs every now and then. Like, what's going on?
It's not really. It's not a reoccurring thing. I had the surgery like 12 weeks ago, and it was basically a big hernia, like the disc like shoots out into a bubble, and it pinched my sciatic nerve, which is basically the control from your brain to your foot. And right now I'm actually like recovering, and whether playing makes the recovery slower, I have no idea. If in a perfect world, if you could use that term, I wouldn't really be playing right now, because I still don't have full control of my right foot, and some songs, Bleed for example, where there's a lot of like patterns, it gets really hard, because what it does is really that the backside like of my leg gets really tense, and it pulls my right foot in under me, so it's really hard to keep it on the pedal. It wants to skid off and play like really under me, and it's almost impossible during some parts to deliberately keep it in place, and that's what makes it really hard to play. So I still have that issue, but I still feel like with every week or 2 weeks that pass by, I do feel better. So at least I'm on the right path, So you
think you're going to make a full recovery?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident. Yeah.
With your last album, Obscene, you were nominated for a Swedish Grammy, which to me begs the question. If you were to choose the greatest Swedish musical export of all times, who would it be? Anders from Unleashed, don't know if you know him, we met him a little while ago, he says Abba. Discuss.
I grew up listening to Abba, so Abba would be a very obvious choice, I think, because they're the biggest thing that ever came out of Sweden, and they did write some tremendous songs. Even though it was cheesy, it was still really good, and I still love that band. I still listen to them occasionally, and I really love them. But I would still prefer to mention something that is contemporary, and that is something that I feel is really interesting right now. And I would also prefer to talk about metal, because fuck all other kinds of music, right? I would say the Haunted. Yeah, I think they're a very, very underestimated band. They got so much going for them, and they're really musical, and they do it so good. I think they're one of the greatest metal acts out of Sweden today, absolutely, for sure.
Obscene only came out a year ago, but there's already been speculation on the internet about a 2010 release. How true is that?
Yeah, well, we're aiming at that, you know. Hopefully by the, I would say, late fall, early winter of 2010 is what we're hoping to achieve, you know. But you never know with us, you know. It's writing for us is always a kind of a slow process. At least initially, for Obscene, it was really slow initially, but then it really took off. So it's hard to say, you know. I do feel though that we have a tendency, like for each album, we spend more and more time on the actual albums, like recording and producing it and like mixing it and all that stuff. So I can definitely see that happening, maybe even to a greater extent on the next album. So it's really hard to say, you know. To the Obscene album, we spent probably like half a year in the studio before we were done, and if that happens this time around too, I don't know if it's going to be 2010, but that's what we're aiming at.
Okay.
Yeah.
What stage are you at with it? Have you written a lot of material?
We don't have any material yet.
So it's
Yeah.
just kind of
We have some leftover stuff from Obscene that was really good, but what we wanted with Obscene was we wanted every song to be very unique and very different from all the other tracks. So we have like one song that we felt was a little similar to another song on the Obscene, so we took it out. So maybe we'll use that one on the next album because it's a really cool track. And we have we have a few riffs and ideas, but nothing, you know, more than that. So we got a whole album to write pretty much, you know.
Rolling Stone magazine, you were in the top 10 most influential hard and heavy bands of all time.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, man, 10 years ago, that's even more remarkable.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It was really cool, absolutely. You know, to be mentioned in that regard and such a big magazine was, of course, a big deal at the time of that.
But my question for you is, if you could have chose your personal top 5, who would it be and why?
Personal top 5.
Most influential bands to you.
Rush, Tool.
I'll say why.
No, I'm not going to say why.
Okay.
I'm not going to elaborate on that. Because they're all gay. That's why.
Gay?
Yeah. In a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Homosexual, in a good way.
Yeah.
Tomas Haake.
And I came up with 2 bands. Isn't that enough?
No,
5 bands, man. Well, Metallica's got to be in there, even though I don't listen to them nowadays. But I grew up with that stuff, and that's something that put a really big dent in all of us, and they're one of the bands that's a reason we are what we are today, you know, growing up listening to Metallica, and of course Slayer and Testament who are playing here tonight, and bands like Anthrax and all that stuff, like they came along
we're on 6. We're on 6.
Yeah. And well, more bands. My brain is shut off. It always does that after shows. I can't really think. There's a lot of bands. Pink Floyd is a big band for me. I had a long period of maybe like 15 years when I did listen to a lot of Pink Floyd, just for the very vibe of that band. So that's always a really cool thing. Early Primus albums, really cool. Sailing the Seas of Cheese and Crystal Fry, and they also had quite an impact on me, and maybe to some extent on my drumming as well. So those would be the 5 I could mention now, but you know, of course there's a ton of bands, you know.
Well, thank you very much. Can I get a high five? That's how we end all our interviews. This is Tomas Haake, Terrorizer in Poland.